Shalom Yasharallah. I'd like to begin by saying I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak, whom I worship. Double honors to my elder apostles of Great Millstone, who taught me this word in sincerity and in truth, and who rule well. Salutations be to the hopeful elect of Yasharallah, who are teaching the true doctrine of Yahweh Shai, like Great Millstone is teaching. Lord be with you and yours, and grant you salvation, and may you receive your crowns of salvation. Salutations also be to the great cloud of witnesses of Yasharallah. All right, may the Lord grant you and yours salvation. So we're going to begin. This is part 6, beginning the 3rd chapter of Habakkuk. Right, so Habakkuk 3:1.
A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech, and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath remember mercy. God came from Teman, and the whole...
Right, it says, O Lord, I have heard thy speech, and was afraid. And that's like us, right? Coming into the faith, hearing the Lord's prophets and teachers out on the highways and byways teaching. We heard the word, we heard that, right? We heard them preaching, saying that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, that Yahweh Shai and the holy angels are coming to destroy this place, to bring a fire, to bring thermonuclear missiles. And you heard that, and you were like, man, I don't want none of that, right? I don't want to partake of that fire, man. Y'all don't want to be in that fire. I don't want to be destroyed. I believe in the Lord, right? I believe in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and how they taught it, and boom, came in, right? Because we don't want to be destroyed, man. It says, O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. And that's what he's doing with the prophets and teachers of Great Millstone out there, and the other sincere camps that are out there, right? That's how the Lord is reviving his work, man. Meaning his word out there, making sure that his word is going out to the elect, to the hopeful elect, so that way they could be have that spiritual mark, righteous mark on their foreheads, you know, and so that they could be delivered. All right, once the angels that are at the 4 winds, like it says in the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter, once they release those winds, the only ones who are going to make it are the ones that the Lord chose, man, and put his mark on. Okay? There are 2 marks. You got the mark of the Lord, which is his word, and then you got the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. Those who receive that are not going to make it. All right? They are not going to make it, man. It says, as in the midst of the years make known, in wrath remember mercy, because he's coming with his wrath. That last war that's going to take place with all the nations being gathered, they're being gathered as we now speak. They're all preparing for a great war, man. All right? And the climax of that great battle in the valley of decision, in the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means the Most High shall judge, which is the Middle East, right? In the midst, the climax of it all is the thermonuclear missiles being shot off over here to Babylon the Great, which is America, man, to burn her with fire. The whore that sits upon the scarlet-colored beast, man, right?
God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns come...
Right, it says the Most High came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Selah. His glory covered the heavens. What's his glory? The fathership. The great big fathership, man. They came down to give the law unto the Israelites by the hand of Moses. All right, on Mount Sinai. When the Lord did that, all right, because I believe if you go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter, it breaks it down also. It said that the mountains, it looked like they were on fire. They were smoking, man. There were angels everywhere, chariots everywhere, man, present. While the Most High was giving his holy law unto us, man, the Israelites, his chosen people, by the hand of Moses, his chosen man.
And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence.
Right, it's talking about his chariot, right? Another word, another name for his chariot. His chariots are his glory. It says in his verse 4, in his brightness was as the light, right? Because the chariots have lots of lights on them, you know, and they're bright, just like the chariot that followed it was known as the pillar of fire that followed us in the wilderness, man. That represents the great lights that the chariots have. It says he had horns coming out of his hand, talking about the lasers that were shooting out of his great big fathership, shooting the lasers. That's what it's talking about. Hitting the tablets, man, to give the law for us to have. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hands, and there was the hiding of his power. Right. It was, you know, it was like spiritual power coming out of those chariots, man.
Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld.
All of that is talking about the Lord's chariot, man. It says before him went the pestilence, meaning fire. Right? The same fire that the Most High is gonna when Yahweh Shai comes with the holy angels, they're gonna be shooting at Esau and the other nations, man. It says in Psalms, it says that he scattered kings in it. He scattered kings in it. In what? In the chariots, man. Using the chariots. It says before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet.
He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariot?
Right, Habakkuk said, verse 6, it says he stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations. Yeah, in those chariots. in the ancient world, man. And the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting.
Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was that?
Yeah. Was the Lord displeased with the rivers? Not, you know, that's also going into the missiles, you know, because when the missiles hit they're gonna suck up like a vacuum not all the waters, but the great amount of waters. I'm sorry, all the waters. That's right, all the waters here in Babylon the Great in America, man. The waters are gonna get sucked up. Okay, the Great Lakes areas sucked up because of those missiles. The Great Mississippi River sucked up. You know, and any other body of water within this land, it's gonna get sucked up by those missiles, man.
Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of...
Right, the horses in the Lord's chariots are the UFOs, man.
Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? Thy bow was made quite naked, according...
Chariots of salvation. Why did he say chariots of salvation? Because these same vehicles are going to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. The Most High's chosen people, man.
Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word. Selah. Thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice, and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. Thou wentest forth for the salvation.
The Lord did that in the ancient world, and guess what? The Lord's gonna do this in this time, man. He's gonna thrash the nations in his anger, man. By way of the chariots, by way of his thermonuclear missiles. Alright?
Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation with thine anointed. Thou woundedst the head out of the house of the wicked, by discovering the foundation unto the neck. Selah. Thou didst strike through with his...
Damn. It says, thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people. Who's the Lord's people? The Israelites. Alright? The Hebrew Israelites, man. The lost tribes of the nation of Israel, okay? It says, even for salvation with thine anointed. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked. Meaning the Most High is going to come at the leaders of the wicked, right? The leaders of Esau, right? The so-called Illuminati. Their heads, they're going to take them out, man. Put them in slavery. They're going to be in subjection under him. By discovering the foundation unto the neck. And pretty much what I was talking about is just, you know, everything that they did in secret, the Most High is gonna reveal it, man. Reveal them. The Most High is gonna...
Thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice, raw tenderness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself.
Right, it says, 14, thou didst strike through with his staves, or staves, the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was to devour the poor secretly. Who did that? The wicked, right? These Edomites, man. They did that with their secret societies, and the leaders of the world are in these secret societies. And who do they secretly attack and set traps for? The poor, man, of the Most High's people, which is us, the Israelites. All right, so this is part 6. So part 7, we will begin with Habakkuk the 3rd chapter and the 16th verse. Shalom.